Mané is being linked with a move to Manchester United. The Wolves wonder kid already has 2 goals in his short Premier League career and has already made a little bit of history, being the youngest ever goalscorer for Wolves in the Premier League. The question is, why do Manchester United want him? Now, before we start talking about things over here, actually on the tactics board and player analysis and things like that, we do have to remember he's playing in the Premier League, and Ineos at United have tended to lean towards Premier League proven where possible, so Mané immediately ticks that box. The other box that he ticks is he's a very versatile and very young forward, of course, as well. But that versatility, the fact that he can play pretty much anywhere across the attacking line, and again, that is something that United have looked for over the past couple of summers, over the past couple of transfer windows, signing players that can play in a few different roles and can pick up different positions, and Mané is no different. Both in the Premier League at senior level, but also at youth level, Mané has been used right across the front line. Although personally, I view him as more of a left-sided player who starts wide on the left-hand side, but actually wants to come infield a little bit more. I don't view him as a touchline winger, although he can play there in spells, which we'll come back to. I see him as sort of a wide interior forward. So that's the zone that he wants to play in, but why is he so good? Why has he managed to have such an amazing breakthrough season in the league at 18 years old? This is probably the most difficult league in the world to break into, partly because of the physicality. Now, normally when we talk about physicality, we think about intensity, things like that, but we also talk about aerial duels and being tall and being strong in the air. We often talk about a big upper body, but it's also incredibly important to have a good lower body as well. You've got to be robust, you've got to be able to ride a tackle, and I think that's something that Mané does very well. Just look at this clip here, his leg gets absolutely clattered, but he barely even flinches or notices it and just carries on. It's very difficult to knock him off his stride, and that's a great thing to have as a Premier League player, and the fact that he's got it at 18 years old is really impressive. What we often see is an 18-year-old will break into the team, and when they're out wide as a winger with space, they look great. But the second they come into crowded areas, you can sort of nudge them off the ball a little bit. You can go shoulder to shoulder or come in with a big tackle, and it throws them off their game. Not Mané. He physically almost plays like a player much older than what Mané is, a much more experienced player, but it makes him incredibly robust. He's also extremely mobile as well, getting out of situations that he just shouldn't be able to get out of. He's almost a ball magnet. His control is tight, his first touch is lovely, and he's often using both feet to roll that ball from side to side. And what it does really, really effectively is it draws opposition players towards you. Because as Mané goes for a run through the pitch, and that's something that he does a lot, look at his progressive carry map in the opposition half. He likes to carry the ball forward, and of course, as an opposition defender, or a midfielder, you want to try and stop him. You want to try and take him out nice and early. But often, because of his strength, one player isn't enough to do that. You know, he's so manipulative with the ball, but then so strong and robust again in the contact. It takes more than one player to go and slow him down. What do we call that? Tactical gravity, when suddenly you are drawing 1, 2, maybe even 3 players towards you. And the reason why this can be so effective, particularly against more resolute defences, is you open up spaces. If there's 3 players trying to stop Mané, trying to delay him, then it's going to open up space for someone to play in. It's going to open up more room for other people to receive the ball. That's why tactically Mané can be so versatile, because the second you pull so many players out of position, you can really speed up the game. When the players are compact behind the ball, the opposition are in their shape, it can be a very slow game in the Premier League sometimes. But if you can draw these players out and then quickly play around them, well, that's when that tempo is re-injected into the move. And I think that is something that Mané is absolutely fantastic at. And again, it all stems from that physicality, the ability to ride the contact. Incredibly strong. Just quickly wanted to add, he's been fouled 25 times so far in his Premier League career, which is a lot considering he has not played many minutes at all. And again, if you think of the Premier League right now, how important set pieces are, having someone who is sort of a foul magnet because of his strength can be quite useful. Now, when we watch Mané, the thing that excites me the most is his ability to read space, to find space, to exploit space, but also to manipulate and affect the opposition's momentum. I think he's a very clever player. So he's got a great first touch. That almost goes without saying. He's this exciting young winger. You expect a good first touch, and he's got one. We've also seen that physically he's very strong, and often that attracts multiple people towards him. What we've now got, though, is intelligence, spatial awareness, but also spatial manipulation, which, you know, as a package, sounds quite exciting for such a young footballer. This here is against Manchester United, so you may remember this moment. The ball is played into midfield, and this is what we're talking about with Mané not necessarily being a touchline winger, someone who perhaps wants to come inside the pitch. And the fact that he can do that, you know, is very, very useful for such a young player. But again, you can see the effect. Multiple Manchester United players all close in on him. Casemiro, Ugarte and Luke Shaw, pretty strong guys collectively, all rush towards Mané to try and put the tackle in. Mané does something very clever. He manipulates them and then takes them out of the game. He manipulates them initially by taking the touch wider, taking the touch towards the wider zone. When you've got 3 people charging at you and you take that touch wider, they charge with you, they follow you, they've sort of locked onto you, they've decided you're the one that they want to tackle, so they follow where you go. But then Mané very quickly changes direction. Drop of the hips, open those hips up outside of the boot to reverse the ball back to the other side. And Mané has made 3 very experienced footballers look like absolute muppets because he has sent them and sold them all a dream. It's really good play. This moment as well, really nice, this time against West Ham. Again, Mané more central, sort of in that left half space that we were mentioning earlier. Receives the ball in midfield. Clever, aware of the space, has that quick look over his shoulder. Probably looking for where the space is, but also that defender that is about to come and hit him hard. But what Mané does is very clever. He knows now that that defender is rushing in, so he uses him. He gets himself across the ball. He gets his body across the ball. The defender can now not get to the ball without fouling Mané. So that's intelligent. But also what it does, because he knows that defender is coming flying in, by just rolling him, you almost roll the defender past you, and that's going to open up the space. So Mané can now take the ball on the back foot. Like this, he can take the ball on the back foot and now accelerate. And again, the defender is just completely gone. And if you actually look at him over here, looks rather gutted with himself because he knows that he's been played. Mané has absolutely had him there. Again, here, Mané, left half space, receives the ball from the left-hand side. And again, the first thing you need to do is know where the space is. And Mané here cannot believe his luck. He has a look over his shoulder and there is no defender. No defender, all the space in the world. So he knows that if he receives the ball, he wants to attack the goal. He wants to go directly to the goal. There's no need to take extra touches and play about and go backwards and work the block. Just attack the space that is there. So again, scanning, being aware of this space is very important. But what it allows him to do is pick up the ball and just open up his body. Open up his body so he receives the ball on the back foot. Side on, ball on the back foot. We know what that means. The touch is going to come across your body and you can change the angle. So the ball is coming in at this angle and he is now able to exit at this angle. It's wonderful, wonderful play. And then we've got one more. This was a really nice goal against Everton. And again, I think it's quite clever, the detail here. So the ball comes across right to left towards Mané. And I think what most of us would probably expect here, if we're sort of looking at James Tarkowski and his positioning here, quite a big fella charging towards Mané, I think most of us would expect a player to let this ball sort of roll across their body so they can get it into their stride and then can go forward and take the shot. But actually Mané is very aware of the positioning of Jake O'Brien. So what Mané does instead is takes the touch, a brilliant touch, with the outside of the back of his right foot and it spins the ball out in front of him. But it spins the ball in a direction which completely takes O'Brien out of the game. It takes Mané across Tarkowski, disrupting Tarkowski and his stride. He sort of gets stuck in this position. And then Mané races through and it's a very, very good goal. But again, we've seen 4 different examples there of understanding where the space is, figuring out where the opposition are, and then taking them out of the game in different ways. Sometimes going with the momentum of the player, sometimes going against it, the complete opposite. Sometimes with the momentum of the ball, sometimes completely against it. It's a lot of fun to watch. Now, of course, Mané is still a very young footballer, and if he really wants to make it to the top and be a big forward in the modern game, he needs output in the final third. He needs goals and he needs assists. I think so far he's done pretty well for Wolves. Wolves haven't been the most amazing team this season. They haven't scored loads of goals. So I think Mané has done well considering the environment. I also just always think if you've got a player who can operate across the pitch, who can affect the attacking play in every single part, then I think that's a pretty good sign. The fact that Mané can play out here and have some joy, he can play in here and have some joy, or here, or here, or here, that's a great sign. If a player can be so successful in so many different parts of the pitch, you just know you're getting someone who has a very complete profile that can do a lot of different things. However, if we're talking about Mané's strength, for me, his sort of natural way of playing, his instinctual way of playing, his habits when playing are to come in from the left. I don't see Mané as a touchline winger. I don't see him as someone who sort of holds the width and just isolates a fullback 1v1 all day. Every clip that we saw there, you know, he's coming in these positions here. He's inside the pitch where he can get people towards him and he can manipulate them and take them out of the game. So effective in these positions. But even when shooting, that's where he wants to shoot from, coming in from wide and then having shots at goal, like we can see here. In terms of the shot location, we can see that we've got a different couple of finishes in his locker. From the left-hand side, he can go low into the near corner or low into the far corner. But what I love is that he can do it from the right side as well. We saw this more at youth level. But again, Mané could have different types of finishes in his locker. I think he's been a lot of fun to watch for Wolves, and every time he gets the ball in the final third, he's sort of the one that gets the fans off their seats. He's the sort of one that when he picks up the ball, you feel something's going to happen. He's not a player to necessarily run all of your attacks in terms of tempo management, in terms of knocking the ball about, but if you want someone to pick the ball up, take aggressive first touches, be direct and attack teams, then Mané is absolutely the man. So how does all of that work in terms of Manchester United? Should United actually sign Mané? Well, instinctively you almost want to say yes, because we are talking about an 18-year-old in the Premier League who is lighting up the league. There's not many 18-year-olds with Premier League experience who have the strength and physicality to play in the league, but also the intelligence, the speed, the control, the first touch, all of those things. However, there is one slight drawback for me personally, and that is the way that United have already built the squad. We've sort of already got that player who probably prefers the left-hand side but always wants to come inside and is actually quite a versatile forward. We signed him from Wolves last year. His name is Cunha. I don't know if we need another player of this profile. I think we're all of the opinion that we need a proper, true 1v1 left winger, and I'm not sure that Mané is a specialist in that position. Now, maybe that will change. Maybe with coaching, maybe that will change and he could become a touchline left winger. But I think his instinct is to play inside the pitch, is to come inside and get close to goal and play on the half-time in those spaces. So I think Mané is a wonderful talent. Is he good enough to play for Manchester United someday? Absolutely. The potential there is frightening. He's so good. And eventually he probably will leave Wolves, whether that's this year or next year. He'll go somewhere good and he will look amazing. But Manchester United can't just sign every youngster that is exciting. You know, there's so many exciting youngsters in the world. We're going to miss out on some of them. And Mané might have to be one of those. I love the thought of signing him. But I just think in terms of squad building, I'm not sure if he's perfect for us. But I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments. Change my opinion if you can. Sway me. Convince me otherwise. Why should we sign Mané? The talent is there. He's a clearly a talented young player. Bags of potential, bags of tricks, bags of skills. The physicality, the speed, everything you could want really in a winger. Apart from, he's not quite a winger. He's a bit more of an inside forward. So should we sign him? And if so, why? Let me know in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. I just want to finish off by reminding you he is very good. Very good. But yes, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.